matches in Group B. Starting to the top left, we currently have the MVP player. This is
MVP Bang.
Bang with wins against Bunny and a loss against Marine King offline in TVT. He's up against a very strong opponent to the bottom right now for the Prime team.
ByuN Prime.
Offline, ByuN has not played too many matches against Terran. He played 4 maps. He won every single one of them. He won against Keen, he won against Ryung, and he won against Supernova. And most of those guys are pretty good at Terran versus Terran. So definitely one of those things where you have to give him some credit for, and that's why I think that ByuN is definitely going to be the one who's trying to just play Bang to the wall. With the early gas that we have here, he's going for an aggressive build. We might even see Banshees. He was actually one of those players who was starting to use Banshees even before the patch that we had.
So I actually think it is going to be Banshees. We could see a really fast Reaper, but in TVT, what you can see with that a lot of the time is just gas, and that doesn't even necessarily tell what your opponent's doing. You can come back in later, but I'm really feeling the Banshees. I was really not expecting ByuN to be the one who goes for the faster aggression. It's Bang who takes the more normal gas timing here, up at the top left on 15. And just look at the timing here. It's certainly lending itself to be Banshees. We'll see if ByuN takes the second gas. In Wings of Liberty, you absolutely had to have the second gas to go Cloak. In Heart of the Swarm, you still pretty much do, but you can get it a little bit later. You can get away with a little bit different things. Look at how this time lines up. He has 100 gas exactly as the barracks finishes, can start that factory.
And he could as well also go for a Winter Mine drop if you wanted to. That's something that we still see.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely a possibility. Even a Hellion drop with Marines, like in Wings of Liberty.
SCV, you know, getting into the main base and of course spotting all of this. And the one thing that he does not see and which he would like to know is if there's going to be a second refinery. And there it is. So it looks like we're going to have the Banshee play with the Cloak. We were talking about earlier.
Bang does not see the second refinery though, nor does he see a tech lab added on the barracks, which he wishes he could see.
And ByuN has a really good control with those Banshees. As I mentioned before, he was even playing this before we had the patch who reduced the costs for the upgrade. So for now, of course, Bang has to try and think about how am I going to defend against this. There is a potential Banshee play by my opponent. What do I do to make sure that this is not going to hurt me too much? And he can go into a Viking and try to get that out, but with the build that we have currently on the tap, that would also be cutting it quite close. Marines, maybe an engineering bay and missile turrets would also help. He's going into the command center, and this is that trade-off scenario where the Prime player here on screen will have to do damage to make sure that they are on even footing in economy, because Bang has the earlier CC and will get up in the harvester count and in the income.
Yeah, you're right. He's going to have that income lead, but I really just like a few critical things to be honest with you. He doesn't scout. I like that a lot because it gives him the extra resource he gives to make his build so crisp. He also makes sure he denies scouts and keeps his Marines in a place where if a Reaper comes in, which is very likely, very possible, he's ready to intercept it. So the way he's playing this build is it's as streamlined as it could be for a Cloak Banshee build. You don't really care what your opponent's doing because you're the one who's going for the Cloak Banshee build. You're the one who is expecting the faster gas, and you're going to be scouting with those Banshees anyways. He sends one SCV around right now, and that's going to let him know if there's a CC first, and that's all he's going to really care about here.
And you know what? That Viking is actually going to be out quite late.
Yeah, extremely late. This is a really good position for ByuN's build. And he even sees the reactor here, allowing him to know this. He doesn't know if there's Widow Mines coming out, which could put a damper on his build, but we'll see how he reacts to this.
But he saw the CC too, and that actually helps him also quite a bit, so he knows everything about the build of his opponent. Banshee going across the map, and the Viking has been started, but that Cloak upgrade is coming into play. Widow Mine at the front is going to shut down the counter-aggression by Bang. At least going to take one of those Hellions with him.
Ooh, he sees it, so he doesn't go up.
Yeah. Sees it and immediately moves back. But now let's see how much those Banshees do. Keep in mind, ByuN has to do damage. Yeah. He has to do some damage.
He has to do a decent amount.
He is ahead in tech, but he needs to do some damage against his opponent's build right now, or he will fall behind in economy quite significantly.
The biggest issue here is that the engineering bay is so late. He has the Viking out now, but it's not going to do too much for him if he can't see the Banshee. And Cloak started immediately here. Can pick off all of these Marines if he wants to. There's not a whole lot that ByuN can do. He has one scan only. Banshee can escape it. Yeah,
Banshee gets away, does not go down. And nice, even hugs the line here. Just waits for it to disappear. Now he can move in again. Second Banshee is already in the way. Raven has been built. Missile turrets also baited out, but that reactor is in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, if he tries to repair it, the Banshee can just go for the SCVs instead. He doesn't know if there's a scan or not, so he's very careful about his migrator. First Banshee is gone, but there's no more scans. Second Banshee's on the way. And with the tank here, these Hellions at the front not going to do too much, even if they try to run past the Widow Mine. The Hellions, I should say, excuse me.
Harvester count is, by the way, still the same. We have a double command center on our build for the Prime player. He really wants to catch up in economy. And, ooh, those Hellions. Yeah, they need to be careful. None of them going down. Nice reaction by Bang.
It looks like ByuN is really into the idea of getting this reactor. Not going to work out so much. He hasn't done a ton of damage, but he's forced turrets, he forced the Raven. And I like ByuN's position a lot because of the double command center, because of the army composition he's starting to build. He's getting the tanks out first. Bang with the counter Banshee, though, on the other hand.
Yeah, and ByuN actually lost both Banshees without doing too much damage. I think he killed maybe like 3 Marines in total. Like, not too much here. And the counter Banshee, even with Cloak, so a little bit delayed. And ByuN is still going for Banshees on his own. The third command center, of course, working well for him. But still, a lot of Hellions also on the map for Bang.
Yeah, and this is, of course, indicating to ByuN that most likely he's up against a mech-oriented play. Otherwise, there would not be this many Hellions who would be trying to get Stim and other things out earlier. The push out here for ByuN is going to put a soft contain on Bang, and really it's going to affect hardcore how much mining he can really get at his natural here. He doesn't have a lot of units. The Hellions here are kind of flimsy. They're not able to really fight. This Banshee is out in the open.
Oh, nice. Oh, he could have gotten that. He didn't, of course, know that the Banshee would turn around. But yeah, already the hit point's quite low here on the Banshee. Here comes the Banshee for ByuN, doing the damage. The siege tank is still alive, and if that gets close enough, the Viking needs to be... what? He takes the Viking out. Suddenly there's no anti-air anymore.
Bang is in a lot of trouble. He's trying to build a composition that costs much more than he can afford right now. And the Hellions here trying to do their best, but the siege tank still surviving. The Banshee doing the extra DPS he needs to.
Oh god, most of the Hellions, all of the Hellions are gone. Those 2 auto turrets do some damage, but there's still Marines left. He can move now into his opponent's mineral line at the natural. ByuN in a great position, 26 supply up. The siege tank still in range and got the SCVs flying. This is nearly it.
I mean, he should be lifting his CC if he thinks he has a chance in the game. The fact that he's not means I think he's about to type out at any second. What is he? Does he think he can actually keep this command center alive? That's never going to happen in a million years. In fact, he may end up losing it because he's waited so long to lift it.
He's going to lose it.
Yeah, he's going to lose it. Goodbye, command center.
No lift, no nothing.
I think he's already conceded this game. He's down 70 supply, or 40 supply.
GG. There we go. ByuN making it look nice and easy.
ByuN making the plays today. I really like his build a lot better. As soon as he figured out his opponent was going mech by scouting those Hellions, he was like, you're not going to have enough units. And I know you don't have a tech dive on your factory to make defensive siege tanks, because I've already seen that with my Banshees. And if you don't have siege tanks and I do, I will put a contain on you. And Bang's control is a little bit questionable there at the end with his mess up with the Viking. He needed a bunker at the top of his ramp or something.
Yeah, that's... I mean, the Viking was caught, his Banshee was caught. He couldn't really do anything with that, and ByuN playing a very solid and convincing game here, taking the second win today.
Yeah, he's looking good. He also finds himself now on 2-0 in the group. Very convincing play from ByuN today.
Well, and now we are going into Life versus Hero.
Now this is going to be the player who's 2-0 in the group versus the player who's 0-2.
Yep.
And Life really needs a win here if he wants to have any chance of getting out of this group. It's already very difficult for him. He's going to have to do some hoping. But if he loses this, then he has no chance.
Yeah, if Life loses to Hero now, then it is over for him. Then he is definitely out of the up and downs here. On the other hand, funny as it is with how the group currently works, if Hero takes this game now and has a 3-0 in the group, he isn't even out of the group yet. He doesn't advance automatically if he takes this. There is still the chance of a 3-way tie with a 3-1 if he takes that game and loses the next one of how the matches went today. So that's one of the things that we are going to find out pretty soon. But first of all, we have, of course, Life versus Hero, and that game is going to determine if Life is able to just maintain a little chance of advancing today.
Yeah, that map will be Whirlwind that we're going to play on next. And Life cannot be in the best mood ever, but like you said before, if you look at him mentally, he's not somebody who gets affected. You know, we saw him downstairs earlier, didn't look too stressed out, and he's a type of player who really just doesn't get super stressed. You know, you could tell he's emotional about his loss, especially afterwards when the whole series is over. He'll post on Twitter a lot of the time, but when he's in the booth until it's over, he's not freaking out. He stays calm.
Yeah. That's definitely true. And Life so far, he looked a little bit shaky today against ByuN, at the beginning, great defense, and then later on suddenly his micro against the Reapers kind of fell apart. No queens in the main base, didn't protect the mineral line, fell behind in the Harvest account quite significantly. ByuN took that lead, brought it to the late game, and never really gave Life an opening to equalize the score. So suddenly the StarTale player, who was a huge favorite to get out of the group, is 0-2. If he loses one of the next 2 games, then he will be eliminated. He will have no chance of playing in the Premier League.
Yeah.
He's going to the Challenger League then.
Exactly. So this is right now the most important game for Life, and he has to, of course, hope for certain results to happen in the future. We can talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But on Whirlwind, he has to do a great game, and he played against. You know, we watched Hero play earlier, and against Sue, he took a weird strategy that Sue couldn't get his Mulist out. He won the game, but he didn't look like the best Pros versus Zerg player ever. We talked about his stats a little bit earlier. He's not the best Pros versus Zerg player ever, so Life could definitely take this, for sure.
Yeah, Life has a pretty good record in this matchup as well, but the same is also true for Zerg versus Terran, and we didn't really see that all too much in the game because, versus ByuN because of the open lane that we had. Keep also in mind that if he takes down Hero here, the one opponent that Life still has to face is Bang, and that is arguably the weakest player of the group. So for ByuN, Bang, not ByuN. Bang has only won a single game today. No, he actually hasn't won a single one.
He lost both. He lost to ByuN and he lost to Hero.
Exactly. So that's kind of the weakest player together with Life right now in the group. So if Life takes the game against Hero, he has a chance.
Yeah, he certainly does. He could take Bang out. I think that it's definitely impossible for him, but he has to take this very important first step. And it's always rough when you're the guy who's 0-2. There's always going to be a guy who's 0-2, and the guy who's 0-2 has the hardest time.
Well, we're waiting for the players to arrive in the lobby.
Yeah.
No clue why they're not here yet. At least Hero is already in the lobby, but for some reason, Life hasn't joined us just yet. He's actually the one who had quite some time here to prepare. So, not quite sure if we have a technical issue here or if he's just at the bathroom. I guess we're going to get an update very, very soon. And
yeah, well, you guys can take this time to check us out on Twitter. I'm ProxWolf. He is, of course, Caldor with a KH. Tweet at us what you think about who's getting out of this group. Tweet us anything, really. I mean, anytime, not even just today. If you're watching the VODs right now, you want to ask us a question or send your thoughts. We always love to hear what you guys think about anything that's going on in WCS and the Starcraft universe, even in Korea.
Talking about what we think, I'm very surprised that Life is 0-2 right now in this group. Life is not in such a dominant position that I would have said, okay, like he's going to lead the group and he's going to just crush everyone that he meets. I was not... the loss against Sue, for example, was something where I'm like, okay, I can see that. Like, Sue is really good in the ZVZ as well. Life is a little bit shaky just recently, especially in that matchup. So that he loses there, not the biggest deal. But then that he loses the game to ByuN, that was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm feeling. The loss against Sue, that's one thing. But against ByuN, not what I expected. I think Life can do this. If he keeps his cool, he can definitely beat Hero on Whirlwind. Whirlwind's a good map for Berserk, especially for Life's style. This is gonna be close, but Life absolutely can do it. Can he keep his mind straight though? He's a player who does not usually get affected by nerves. As you can see, look at his face right now in the booth. He doesn't look scared or worried at all. He's more concerned that his nose itches a little bit.
Yeah. And well, going up against Hero, this is one of the games that he has to take. It's the most important one for him today. If he loses it, he's out. If Hero, on the other hand, takes it, he's 3-0 in the group. Doesn't give him a spot in the Premier League just yet, but he has a couple of really good chances. I mean, if Hero, of course, wins the next game after game against Life, then he's going to be through. But there are also a couple of scenarios where he just has to rely on opponents to win their game. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Now we're jumping into the game on Whirlwind. Trollers versus Zerg, Hero versus Life.